Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. As you all know, feminism has more or less complete free reign here in the West to do whatever it wants, and the Western governments are far too scared of the feminist lobby to do anything about it, and the Western governments have to do as they're told by the people who control the Western governments, and we all know who they are. But over in China things are a lot different, whereas the Chinese Communist Party doesn't take truck with anything that's originated from the West, and they're doing things in the Chinese way for China itself. As I found this article over the weekend, it says, the title of it is What's on Weibo. It's a site about a Chinese social media site called Weibo, and it's essentially like a public forum combined with Twitter. As you can see, it's titled Censorship of Chinese 6B4T and Feminist Groups Prompts Wave of Support for Douban Sisters. This article was written on April 13th by a lady called Manya Kotsi. It's essentially titled Douban, an influential Chinese social media platform which allows users to discuss and view books, music, films and other topics, a bit like Digital Spy. The platform has a group function, which groups being online forums revolving around a particular topic, where they can describe, post and interact, a bit like Digital Spy. It's 6B4T is an online movement originating in South Korea and is about female empowerment and independence, i.e. strong, independent women, that shifts away from a hierarchical society and male-dominated fields in popular culture and beyond. That is a Western world terminology. And the 6B stands for no husband, no children, no boyfriend, no male sex partner, not buying any products, brands that are unfriendly to women, best of luck there, and offering support to single women. All well and good, all very noble. But, as you know, radical feminism tends to hijack noble ideas and move feminism into rather unpleasant terrain, and the Chinese government have seen what happens in the Western world when feminism becomes out of control, and they're not going to have it because feminism stands for society moving in one direction, and MGTOW isn't very far behind, and the guys moving another direction, and the society splits into two camps, and China just does not want that to happen. It goes down explaining it. A day later, Vice, the Western media outlet, locked onto this story, and as you can see, these Chinese women vow never to marry or have sex with men, then censors step in. A small fringe group of feminists. It's always a small fringe group. Doesn't say that once these fringe groups get established, it starts moving into the centre, so it becomes a large fringe, a large group, as we saw what happened in the Western world. Instead of country famous for censorship, they talk freely of fighting the patriarchy, wherever, you know what I mean. They question everyday sexism in workplaces and mass media, same as message what we've heard in the West. Reuters that got onto it in the same day. Closure of online feminist groups in China sparks attack for women to stick together. And this article, dw.com, on the 21st of April. China feminists face clampdown and closure of online accounts. Dozens of Chinese feminist social media channels have been abruptly deactivated over the past few days, triggering anger and fear that women's rights activists will be systematically denied an online presence. Can you imagine if that happened in the Western world? The Twitter will go into meltdown, and there'll be women protesting on the streets. And An article called Reclaim the Net jumped on it. China censors feminist groups after drop in marriage and birth rate. It all boils down to the census that's coming for 10 years. It shows that the birth rate seems to be dropping in China. It's not going to be empty because there's still 1.4 billion of them, but the birth rate isn't going to be the same as it was. Where it says, if the claims about the decline in birth rate do turn out true, it may be unsettling for the Chinese Communist Party. In recent years, the Chinese Communist Party has intently promoted nuclear families, which are the bedrock of any society, asking people to get married and give birth to children. Ironically, under the party's founder, Mao Zedong, exactly the opposite. Mao encouraged young women to join the country's workforce and dissuaded them from having children or marrying. Well, a lot of Mao's policies, the Chinese Communist Party, since Mao died, has been discredited, and they've moved away from him because his policies were somewhat of a disaster for China. But anyway, it says, this bit I found interesting. Intense arguments often break out between young feminists and men who accuse them of being corrupted by Western values, often using misogynistic language, which is what I mentioned. The Western version of feminism has crept into China, and the Chinese government has seen the danger of splitting the Chinese society, and have decided to stop it the Chinese way. But how this is going to affect MGTOW, I can't see MGTOW gaining much foothold until feminism gets established in China. MGTOW, as you know, is a philosophy that these strong independent women don't need no men. So men decide to go their own way. And that would be a disaster for China as it continues to grow and develop, and the economy goes more stronger, eventually overtaking America. Feminism has more or less destroyed America from the inside, as you know, MGTOW is prevalent all over America in increasing numbers, and the Chinese government doesn't want that to happen to their country, so they've decided to nip it in the bud and stop it. And these groups, feminist groups in China, they don't like it because the Chinese government is going to hold their feet to the fire. I might commentate this a bit more if I find anything more of it, but the Quartering has done a video about this, more articulate than me, but it seems that feminism has hit a new Chinese wall and it's not going to be established in the country. Right, I think this video's gone on long enough, and actually put all the links down below so you can have a read of them yourself, but it seems that there is a limit to radical feminism, and the Chinese government have decided to hold the line. Right, that's it, people. I might do Star Wars next week, as I was distracted with this, but until then, that's it for this one. Bye-bye.